Welcome back to this program, and we have Mr. Balaraman Jayaraman. Balu, good to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Absolutely, my
Each time,
privilege.
each
Thank you.
time I see you, and there's a lot of positive energy that I feel myself. Thank you for joining this program. Thank
Not
you.
at all. It's
The next.
absolutely my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And the program is all about creating a healthy, robust relationship between the manager and his or her world of work or their world of work, including with themselves, the impact and the purpose they have, the strengths, competencies of leadership, which is where we are now, personality traits, finding meaning and engagement at work, healthy relationships with their subordinates, peers, bosses, stakeholders, creating an environment for growth, and very importantly, their well being, happiness, and flourishing, and so on. A relationship with digital, including AI, as well as the natural world. So, this is all about self leadership. Very ambitious. It's 3 times a week. And as part of this, we try once in a couple of weeks or so to have a Friday talk with CEOs and other senior executives of companies. It's my real pleasure to welcome Bala. Let me just call him Bala Jayaraman. And this is the journey we are on. Balu's been on this journey. Your self awareness, recognizing what you wanted to do, dealing with employees and stakeholders, self regulation, which is where we are now, and integrity. And Bala is the co-founder and CEO of Congruent Solutions Private Limited out of Chennai. And you're the leader, one of the leaders in pension funds or pensions, processing of pensions. Welcome, Bala. And let me just start. First question: what has been your journey in a couple of minutes? Your journey to where you are now. I know it's 43 years.
I
Can
know.
you summarize this
It
43
is
years and
very.
the most important things you remember?
No, no, actually, it's been a wonderful journey, full of ups and downs, like pretty much anybody's career or entrepreneurial journey. So, got out of, in fact, I was slated to become a hardcore automobile engineer.
Okay,
When
after
I,
your engineering.
yeah, when I graduated of Delhi College of Engineering, and then IIM Calcutta happened. I mean, I never thought I was good enough to get into IIM, but I did. And I still was pretty, keen on joining telco, which was one of the premium jobs for a mechanical engineer looking to get into. It's now called Tata Motors, I guess. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
telco. And it was a tough choice for me because I had to stray out of my what I thought was my core interest
Yes. Engineering, mechanical engineering. Yeah.
and get into reasonably a sphere of unknown because I didn't know what MBA held for me. But to be honest, that was the best decision I took in my life, and I have to really thank my family and peers for nudging me in that direction. also,
Yeah.
also because of their possible conviction that I can't make it a second time. So, so, so might as well,
As an engineer.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So got into that. Suddenly, it broadened my horizons, and I got. I think more than what we learned in the classroom.
Yeah.
I think it's the peer group that really brought out the extrovert in me. I used to be a pretty inward-looking, fairly content with.
That's very hard to believe that you ever were an introvert.
Yeah. So I have to thank people like you and some others who really got me out of my shell. Uh, that was, I think, the peer group made a big difference, and that's when one really appreciated the broader perspectives that is required to run a business or a function in a business, whatever, right? An appreciation of the business drivers as opposed to an inside-out view of a technologist.
Yes.
So then I got into the computer industry, a fledgling industry those days. 1984 is when I graduated. The
Right.
PCs had not yet come. India had only three companies: HCL, ORG Systems, and DCM Data Products, and I joined one of them, ORG Systems. And then, a few years in hardware sales. Then I got an opportunity to head the software division business development for a group called Sanmar Engineering in Chennai.
Uh-huh.
We used to have a company called Inchem Electronics. So I set up the US operations, and that was another very key turning point in the sense that it gave me an exposure to the US market.
Uh-huh.
And, came back in about 3.5 years' time, and then set up my own venture here.
And so what made you leave, traditional business and go into your own? That's
Yeah.
not an easy move.
It is not an easy move, especially with our background, where we can
Yes.
stay a very comfortable lifestyle as a senior executive. And the path was very attractive in the sense
Yeah.
that, rightly or wrongly, with an IMC tag, you're seen as a star in
Right.
a company. But I was pretty clear, along with a couple of my colleagues from IMC, that we wanted to create something as opposed to nudge along something that's running pretty well. So, and also some larger goal of you'll contribute, create employment,
Society.
all those
Okay.
good stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
and you know, the old saying that angels, where angels fear to tread, fools jump in, right?
Okay, so you're one of them.
I was one of those fools without knowing, and a first generation entrepreneur, not too much capital. We quit fairly early in our careers. Uh,
Yeah.
I was a kind of, sales head of a fairly small operation in a sense.
Yeah.
So didn't really have any strategic thinking. We were not part of the senior leadership in the companies we worked for. So,
Yeah.
and to be honest, the IT industry at that time had no strategy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you just pick up your
Opportunistic.
go
Yeah.
out and
Yeah.
sell boxes and somehow try to convince the customer that it will help them somehow, right?
Yeah. So,
So,
I've seen you, well, I saw you in the Bay Area in your offices. You really came up from scratch, almost literally sweeping the floor of it. And, many, many disappointments. What kept you going that this would succeed eventually? What
I
kept
think,
you thinking?
yeah, that's a good question. I think so. I always had this poem called "Don't Quit." I had
Ah,
I had a printout in front of me, and always right through my journey.
uh,
Today, I have it in a soft version on my phone.
uh-huh,
So that's a very inspirational poem, and if people haven't looked at it, they should. I forget the name of the person who wrote it, but it's a very inspiring thing, right? And
uh-huh.
kind of internalizing that, uh,
Yeah.
one felt that one has taken a step,
Mm,
almost
mm,
becomes to use Hindi, इज्जत का सवाल. You have to somehow.
Izzat ka sawal. Correct.
The other thing which really helped, I must acknowledge that people around me probably had more belief in me than I had in myself. Okay, and
Okay. Uh-huh,
family was fully supportive, and we went through really tough times in the early days where the
yeah.
money wasn't coming in. But I think their unstinted and unqualified support really made a
Good.
difference.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
I think one of the key things for any leader, I think, is the self-talk, right?
Mm. The
What you
internal conversation.
what
Yeah.
you tell yourself,
Yeah.
you have to not just believe that you can do it, but you have to know that you can do it, right? A small difference
Absolutely.
between the two.
Yeah.
Belief is still probably laced with the possibilities of not happening, but
Right.
knowing somehow convinces you that it will happen. So we
Yeah.
pivoted. I mean, we used to be a generic software services company. We specialized in the retirement business, and we decided that we cannot be a services player in a industry full of Goliaths like tier one TCP
Yeah.
and others. So if we have to compete with them, we have to find something specific and differentiating.
Focus. Yeah.
And that's what, and it took us about 15, 20 years to realize it, by the way. So it's not like overnight we woke up and suddenly decided this is what it is. So serendipitously, we got into the retirement business. That was our first client in the US way back
Yeah.
in 2000. And when we set up operations here. And since then, we've actually dug deeper and deeper. And now I think in this vertical, we can take on the best in the world. Because people come to us because of our domain knowledge.
And the vertical is?
The retirement provider, pension.
Right.
They don't call it pension in the US because pension is a flavor called defined benefits.
Yeah.
More in the 401k, 403 type of space, if you are familiar with it in the US. So we work with the insurance companies and banks, which actually have a retirement division, and they are our clients. We have a cloud-based, almost like a specialized ERP solution for them. It's their engine on which they run their operations. We
Now,
also
how do you cultivate that knowing? You make a very interesting point, difference between knowing and believing, right? Believing is in the mind, knowing is perhaps your whole being. How did
no.
you cultivate it?
I think there's a difference. The difference is in the sense that you've got to have a game plan.
Ah,
Belief
okay.
is almost like a blind faith.
Mm,
And I
mm,
think if you go past that and said, how do you, if you're in a mess,
mm.
I think how do you get out of this mess? I mean, you have to actually have an action plan. So I think the key thing is to, not worry too much. You have to actually be more action oriented than keep on
Right.
doing a lot of intellectual,
Mm,
analysis inside your head. So you shouldn't get into an analysis paralysis mode. Come up with action plan, and then once you have an action plan, then the belief translates to the
yeah.
conviction. Yeah.
And what has helped you in moving away from analysis paralysis to action mode?
I
Are
think,
there?
it is, to be honest, I don't think it's been uh, cultivated consciously.
Okay.
I have to really thank again my parents for almost unconsciously inculcating these values in us. I
Okay.
I do think that some of the attributes that help you stay positive. I think one of
Yeah.
the key things is I think not complaining
Mm,
what we don't have. Not comparing. I mean, at various points in the journey, I could have just looked at some of my classmates who would be making some 10x, 20x of what I do. And I could have these self doubts as, hey, what the hell am I doing, right?
right.
Uh,
Right.
I should probably take up a job and do a good,
Yeah.
good lifestyle. So I think one of the things is, given where we started from, at all points of time, I think there's a difference between, contentment is not lack of ambition, right?
Mm, mm,
Difference between the two. Uh,
mm.
being happy in your space, having a sense of gratitude, and we have to be thankful for what we have. So I think that is a positive state of mind, which
Yeah.
is positive. The other is, the purpose or, your vision to create something that translates
Yeah.
to ambition. I think the two have to coexist.
Put together.
And
Yeah.
I think the positive state of mind. And the other thing is, I actually got 2 or 3 word documents running to hundreds of pages with all inspiring quotes from
Ah,
famous.
okay. I
Okay.
see.
And some of those to talk about, stay in the present, don't worry too much about
Yeah.
the past, don't be too anxious about the future, and all those seem like idealistic statement,
Yeah.
but can be practiced if you actually put your
Yeah.
mind to it. Because
Yeah.
I have the simple philosophy that if you can do something about it, do it. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Do it.
If you
Yeah.
can't do anything about it, no point worrying.
Let it go.
Yeah,
Let it go.
just let it go. I mean, let things. I mean, you can't control everything in your life.
Yeah.
I think that to some extent, to go back to what your title of your program is, being in
Yeah.
the present really helps you stay positive, I think. And I'm not trying
Mm,
to make it
mm.
for you, but it's something that's worked for me. And
Yeah.
I don't worry too much about the past or the future, except that
Yeah.
you have to act in the present.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
be in the present and blissful and not do things that you ought to do.
Yeah. And how do you deal with, very difficult people? You have to deal with clients that are difficult, employees who are about to leave, very different stakeholders. What do you do? What's worked for you?
See, I think one of the qualities that is required is, in my view, authenticity, right? If you stay authentic and build, and leading from that, second part is relationships. We have to invest in people relationships when nothing is at stake. And I think it pays you back when something is at stake, right? So
Something.
it is a lot of effort. You have to take time to keep in touch with, friends, classmates, customers, and all that, and not expect that every meeting will lead to some revenues
Payback.
downstream.
Yeah.
So I think even in situations recently, we had a case where the customer was digging his heels on something, and we were on something else. Our position was something else. And it was almost 2 months of emails back and forth. Then I said, "Hey, Jim, let's get on a phone call and sort this out." And we really, when we became, I mean, of course, it was virtual, but I think it really helps if you're in person. When they know that you sincerely are coming from a position of uh,
Mm.
reasonableness. Sometimes you have to, it's all, in all these difficult situations, you have to also be willing to let go some part of what you do
Yeah.
is due to you, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, there are some cases where in employee situation, I think people, a lot of times people work for their bosses and not the
Yeah.
company, right? And therefore, having a very comfortable personal relationship
Mm.
helps. You get to know their family, you get to know, and whenever you meet, you don't start straight away saying, "Hey, what is the deliverable and what is the timeline?"
Right.
Talk a little bit about, how's mom, how's the kid, and if you have some knowledge of some personal challenge they're facing, make sure that you talk about it genuinely. Again, authenticity is
Genuinely.
important. It's not posturing, right?
Yeah.
You can always posture, but people can make out when you're
You
just
have to feel it.
you
Yeah.
ask that question and you're looking at your phone, then they know you don't care about the answer, right?
Right.
So you
Yeah.
have to be there. You have to be in present in that
Yeah.
interaction. But when you express this care, people form that bond. But sometimes you have to let people go. They clearly have a much better deal, good for them. And
Yeah.
but we've had so many people who've been with us for 10, 15, 20 years. Uh,
Yeah.
Given our size, it's been a tremendous achievement, and that's because I think
Yeah.
people feel that it's
Yeah.
a happy place to work. There would
Yeah.
be cheers, but you have to create a happy place to work.
Yeah.
If you
And
don't,
what are the situations which really stretch your limits, your capabilities? Has there been one that's so difficult that you're completely perhaps lost?
about 12, 13 years ago, today we are in 25, right?
Yeah.
About 2011, 12, 13 vintage, uh, we were we had started investing in product development, and our services business was not yielding enough margins and cash flows. And we have actually, in hindsight, I don't even know how the hell we have invested several tens of millions of dollars in building this product. It's a
All
huge
right.
price platform.
Yeah.
Like I said, no, sometimes if you don't know the depth of the waters, you jump in, and that's what we did. And then once we got in, it was sucking up resources like hell.
Uh-huh.
And we were in deep financial crisis, and uh, our senior leadership forum, actually, in one of our meetings, I said, "Hey, there's a problem. We are having serious issues." They voluntarily decided to take a pay cut,
Wow.
or
Yeah.
let's take a pay cut for 6 months and see where it goes. So all of them took 30%. I took 60%. I had to
Okay. Doubled it.
symbolically lead the way, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Those were tough times because it was not like we had a nest egg and everybody
Yeah.
had comfortable bank balances. It was tight. You had to align that thing. So but sticking to that, then fixed the financial problem, borrowed from a couple of friends.
Yeah.
Then I mean, we
There is a crisis. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it was good. The support from the leadership team was very, very important. In fact, people are willing to do that. The second
Uh,
thing was when actually we started building product. We signed up a very, very large deal, a
yeah.
partner, and you know, 4 months into the implementation, they expanded the scope. So we had to do a revised build, and we knew that the customer had constraints on the total TCO of the solution, but our partner refused to fine tune their commercial
Requirement.
made.
Okay. Yeah.
So, in fact, I told those guys, if you're going to charge $2.5 million for this enhancement, we're going to lose the deal. In fact, I had this conversation with them.
Okay.
They said, oh, we can't fine tune it. We have our EBITDA targets and all that. They actually shaved it by about 200K. I said, it's not
Yeah.
going to work, but let's try. So we went and they canceled the contract.
Okay.
It was a big
Okay.
brand name and it was,
Yeah.
but
A mess.
yeah,
Yeah.
there are situations where you have to tell your team more than
Yes.
that, hey,
Yeah.
it's okay. We'll bounce back from this. So those were
Yeah.
a couple of examples.
Difficult things. And let me encourage all the participants here. Many of them are senior executives to ask any questions they may have of Bala. And please go ahead and use the chat for any questions that you may have that could help you. And while they're framing the questions, Bala, let me ask you any advice you would give to them looking ahead in terms of their career, what happens after the career? Any advice on the future, how to deal with if they want to leave a sense of legacy, impact, anything that you would say as you hit your middle age? What's an advice for the future?
I mean, this, I mean, I don't have the credentials to uh, give a kind of gospel statement, but the fact is, I think everybody in this room, virtual room, we have to understand that we are privileged, right? I mean, we have reached a certain stage in life in terms of lifestyle and everything. I would really encourage people to have a lens which actually looks beyond themselves.
Mm,
Right?
mm,
Especially in India, there is so much to be done around us. I think they have to ideally get involved in a couple of service organizations, give back.
yeah,
Because that giving back, in my opinion, while people say it's a highly selfless act, I would say it's pretty selfish because your return on investment is really
very high.
soul
Uh,
happiness that you
yes.
and
Yeah,
you should never cross the line and think you're playing God. But it is a huge, feeling of upliftment when you're
yeah,
able to impact some lives who are, due to
yeah,
circumstances,
yeah,
unfortunate places, right? So if
yeah,
you add that dimension,
yeah.
it actually also, first of all, brings into your radar the fact that you are privileged.
Yes.
Otherwise, you are like comparing, oh, I have only, 10 million, I don't have 100 million, somebody else has made $1 billion. I mean, there's no end to that.
There's
So
no
I
end.
personally think that if you add that dimension, it helps you stay grounded.
Yeah.
More importantly, it helps you with a feeling that you are doing something useful
Something.
for the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah. Very
That's
interesting.
there's only one thing I would say. I have to
Yeah.
say there's several things.
Yes.
This has worked very well for me, and I would
Yeah.
recommend that as a.
That's wonderful. A higher purpose. Wonderful. And Ankit, there's a question. We have high pressure to offer credit while we ourselves are stretched for cash. What any suggestions on how to go about this?
As
We're
I
a
went
product
right.
business.
Yes, yeah, I find that the big customers leverage their position unfairly a lot of times with the small enterprises. It's a tough call. I mean, it's very, very difficult to. So I think you have to gauge the uh, intent and intent to pay on time. And to add to that, if you agree for a 60-day credit and the payment comes in 120 days,
Mm.
you are absolutely sunk. In my
Yeah.
opinion, you have to gauge that. And if you're dealing with a reasonable customer and you're sure money will hit the bank if you do your job well within the stipulated time, then you've got to figure out it is tough, but you've got to figure out ways and means of, especially if the deal is sizable, the margins are good.
Yeah.
You have to, stretch, but borrow to serve in
Yeah.
terms of those deliverables from a working capital standpoint. But if that 60 is likely to become 90, 120, 180, I think it's better to walk away from the business.
Walk away. Yeah. Make the call. Walk away.
I,
Yeah.
I've heard of big uh, deals bring
Yeah.
a small company down because the big customer hasn't
Mm.
lived up
It's
to
been paid.
their commitment, and it can
Yeah.
destroy a company. right? So I'm talking from a SMB point of view. I don't know the profile of people over there. Some of them
Yeah.
might be in large enterprises where the situation is difficult. But if somebody is strapped for cash, I'm assuming that they are in this mid tier.
SMB stage. Yeah.
So you have to be careful. I think you should also develop a sense of when to walk away because these multi-million,
Yeah.
multi-crore deals look very attractive. But if
Yeah.
it doesn't pan out very well, it can actually bring you down. So you've got to be
High
careful.
risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good question to end with. What brings joy to your heart as an authentic and empathetic leader? And you're definitely empathetic and authentic. What brings you joy?
I think when I spend a lot of time meeting in a week at least I meet five of our employees. We are
Uh-huh.
about 750 odd people, and whenever I'm not traveling to the US, when I'm here, I meet five of them one on one. Spend about half an hour, 45 minutes talking about, like I said, talking about
Yeah.
anything else other than the business. But we spend about 10 minutes talking about Congruent. So when they say that Congruent Solutions has made a difference to their life and
Uh,
they are where they are because of what they have learned here, not just the domain, but also the values and the cultural elements. Nothing gives me greater joy than that.
okay. Okay.
Second thing is, I think other thing that's hard to beat is when an unsolicited appreciation comes from a client
Uh,
and they say, "Hey, please thank the team. They've made a difference to us, and this has been the
yeah.
differentiator." Our customer says, "Our the solution is
Yeah.
so nice to use." I
Yeah.
think that when I see that mail, especially it arrives in the night, right?
Unsolicited.
When I
Yeah.
wake up in the morning and I see one of those mails, I'm like, "Oh God,
Makes
this
your
is what
day.
I live for." Right? That translates to
Yeah.
employees being happy too. It's kind of
Right.
interesting.
Right. Right.
You can't
Yeah.
have employees happy and the customer unhappy.
You're making a difference.
Yeah,
And actually, there is a final question. We'll end with that from Somik. What are the two or three things you'd like to avoid in the workplace from your team and employees' perspective? What is not good to have in the workplace to be careful about as a
yeah.
leader?
So I think we have to, as leaders, we have to give competency a higher rating than loyalty.
Hmm.
Okay? And especially as entrepreneurs, we've made that mistake several times because somebody has been with you for so long and he's committed to your journey and but they don't actually invest in themselves and evolve. I mean, as we are scaling up, the
Hmm.
person cannot assume anything as a matter of right and they have to reinvent themselves and grow. So I think that thing of that aspect of having to continuously learn and evolve is almost should be a mandate in the workplace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people who don't do that go to the other side of being in their comfort zones. And they say, I've been here 15 years. And
Yeah.
then they have to reconcile to the fact that they may be stunted in their organizational
Growth.
growth
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in their progress within the organization, and they have to reconcile to that. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, if people are okay being where they are and doing a good job where they are, but they should not get into a mode, "Hey, that guy came yesterday and he's gone up above me," and all that stuff happens. So
Yeah.
that's one. The second thing is I've also seen leaders who are insecure,
Hmm.
right? And they actually stifle their next level. And that is, that's not easy to spot. And that's why I think these employee connects that I have actually gives me the pulse of what's going on in the trenches. They know
Yeah.
that whole conversation is confidential and it is up to us. Just because I'm meeting them, they won't open out. I have to make them comfortable enough to open
Yeah.
out and share vulnerabilities or concerns and all that. And I think I tend to do that part very well. So I get to know that something is not okay somewhere, and then you have
Yeah.
to investigate. And then insecure leader or
Yeah.
insecure manager is actually bad news.
Wonderful capability. With that, Balu, thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you.
Sure.
And I'd love to have you come back. And yes, it's
Like
so
we just
wonderful to have
started,
you.
and
I
half an hour flew
know.
by. Thank you, though.
We'll have a
But
longer session another time. These are
yeah,
just
I'm
wonderful.
happy. You can share my coordinates with the audience if they think that there is some nugget of
Okay.
information
Is that okay for you? Yeah.
that I've shared, which they want to deep dive or even contest with me. I'm happy because to be honest, I think getting other people's perspectives helps you learn, right? And
Yes,
I would love
absolutely.
to hear
Yeah.
from any of them in terms
Yeah.
of if they found something discordant in what I said. I would
Yes.
like to hear that point of view as well.
Okay, wonderful. So we'll share you all. Okay.
Please
And I
feel
should
free.
also say it's one of my joys of life to have you as a friend for all these.
Ram, too generous, reciprocal, I know, but
And also repeatedly asking you for directions to your office 25 years.
no, it's been a privilege, and I feel honored to be invited.
Thank you, Valo. Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Take care.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
And
day,
good
and
luck to you.
all of
All the
you.
best.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you all. Thank you all. Thank you, everyone. And have a wonderful, beingful day, beingful weekend, all of you. Good luck to you. Thank you all. Take care then. Bye bye.
Thank you.